This video is about filters that help you to work with network addresses. So the IP address, IP-ADDR filter is what it's mainly about. The IP-ADDR filter works on IP addresses to show how specific IP address related output can be used. Before you use it, there's one condition: you need to install the supporting Python libraries. And these are installed through Python NetAddr and Python 3 DNS packages. These packages exist on Red Hat family in the default repositories. Now, IP-ADDR has different arguments that allow you to perform specific manipulations on your network, like address, which validates that the input contains valid IP addresses, or net, which validates that the input values are network ranges, or host, which ensures that IP addresses conform to the CIDR prefix format, or prefix, which returns the network address prefix. And there are many more. If you want a complete overview, have a look at IP-ADDR filter in the Ansible documentation for a complete list. Let me demonstrate the playbook that I developed for you. So first, I need to make sure that I have the supporting libraries. So that will be dnf install -y Python, Python 3 net ADDR, as well as Python 3 DNS. Next, we get back to the filters directly in the Git repository, and let's have a look at network.yaml. As you can see, this is just showing a lot of use cases. So what do we have? We have variables, two variables that print network addresses. And we have netmask. So what is that? Ansible default IPv4.network / Ansible default IPv4.netmask. So that's the network address followed by the network mask. Then print IP address is doing what? Well, this is just printing the IP address that was found in the Ansible facts. No filters involved yet. Then we are going to do our filter test. So show if this is a valid IP address, which is where we use pipe IP address, and that will show it. And also I'm using the example to show what happens if the variable does not contain a valid IP address. I have tried to make this debug module such that they are self-explanatory. If it doesn't work out as expected, then you will see why. Then we use the IP address filter with the netmask option. And the netmask option is checking out the netmask. Here we use the net option, which is used to convert the netmask, which by default is in the dotted format, to the CIDR format. Then the host prefix filter, which will filter out only valid host IP addresses and skip network addresses from a list in the 1111/24 format. Or size, which will show the available size in the specific network, which is an interesting one, which reveals additional information about the usage possibilities of the network. And what do you think of converting an IPv4 address to IPv6? That's also something that you can do. Or into hexadecimal formats using IP4 hex. Hey, IP4 hex. IP4 hex, as you can see, is a different filter. It's not a part of IP-ADDR. Int is a part of IP-ADDR. It will convert to integer. And here we see how you can use a filter using range usable to find available IP addresses in a range. I just provided this playbook as an example, and if you are ever going to need to do anything on your network addresses, I hope this is going to be useful to run it. So here we can see the examples. We can ignore Ansible 1. Ansible 2 is good enough. Here we print the IP address. It's just fact discovery, right? This is the Ansible fact with all the different components. Then we can see that it verifies the IP address. And also, if we test this on a variable that does not contain a valid IP address, the filter is generating a false. It prints a net mask. That's the net mask as you will find it by default in the Ansible facts in the dotted notation. Now this dotted notation in many cases is not really compatible to your routers and such, and that is why here you can see how you can convert to a CIDR notation. The host prefix will filter out only the host IP address, size to show available size that is available, or rewriting an IP address to IPv6. Can you do this? Yes, you can actually do it. It's a lame IPv6 address, but it works. Or hexadecimal format, in case it is useful, or integer format, or the range of available IP addresses. So many cool things that you can do with the IP-ADDR filter, and here you go. This is all of them. Just one thing to be aware of. Everything is working as an argument to IP-ADDR, with the exception of IP4_hex. So if you want to convert your IP address into a hexadecimal address, you need IP4_hex. That's all about using the network filter.